Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Battle Cats Beginner's Guide. Today I'm going to be showing you how to beat the Great Abyss, a particularly difficult level nestled in the heart of the Into the Future chapters, this specific one, Into the Future Chapter 2. The first requirement that I'm going to speak of, and is almost always a requirement when doing levels, is to have all the superior treasures before it. But if you're thinking, oh how dreadful, I really don't want to have to farm every single one of those treasures 100%, there is a small shortcut you can take. All you realistically require to be at a better chance of beating the level is a 100% aqua crystal, which makes your attacks against aliens a lot more powerful. Other than that, my treasures are either incomplete or not particularly useful to what we're trying to do. Here are the other ones. Ancient Tablet, which increases the base's defense. You don't want anything hitting the base in this level. Cosmic Energy, the only one that might perhaps have an influence, making cat cannon attacks more powerful, but that's not really what you're using it for here. And an energy recovery treasure, which has absolutely nothing to do with this level. That's not to say you shouldn't get all of the superior treasures anyway, but if you're looking to get as few as possible to get straight on with it, aqua crystal is what you need. Next, a look at the lineup of what you'll want to have, at least as a basis, to beat this level. This is the no gacha lineup for you to be able to beat the Great Abyss of Into the Future Chapter 2. It contains within it 4 meat shields, and first of all, quite an important note. You might expect that using the rare-cat rover cat might really help you when it comes to beating a stage such as this, but the truth of the matter is that it's not actually that useful. On account of the amount of damage that things like the Celeboodle and the Galactic Overseer Nyandam do, rover cat won't survive that, the same as any cheaper meat shield wouldn't survive it, so I would recommend to, even if you have it, not put rover in. Instead we have a razor, not as absolutely necessary as this true form here, but still important to have. Then Crazed Macho Cat and Crazed Wall, as you probably should have got those done by this point, or if you haven't, any other cheap meat shields of 75 and 150, though these are probably going to be better. Then Samba Cat to make up a 4th. You should have bought that from Special Cats by now. It's a very useful extra meat shield to have. Next, Macho Leg Cat, a necessary true form, I'm afraid. I get asked a plenty bit whether true forms of these basic cats are needed, and this is absolutely needed. The reason is, normal Legs and Sexy Legs Cat has absolutely no ability against aliens, and so would be useless in this strategy. If you're going to use it, you need it at least level 20 plus 10 as it is here, which gives it the ability to be strong against aliens, and you really need that. Hopefully by this point in the game you'll be able to have basic true forms. I've tried to not use them wherever possible, but this is absolutely necessary. If you don't have it and you're not even in contention of having it in a soon time, look for rare and super rare cats you might have that have abilities against aliens such as freeze, knockback, slow, strong against, or massive damage. Next, 2 whale units here, Whale Cat and Crazed Whale Cat. I recommend keeping Crazed Whale in. It's nice and cheap, nice and effective, and can survive a hit from Galactic Overseer Nyandam. I have Whale Cat in here for no gacha purposes, but if you have, again, an anti-alien unit, such as Neo Psycho Cat, Castaway Cat, that sort of thing, put that in place of the Whale Cat. Next, if you have Paris Cat, put it in this slot here immediately. I'm only using Mother Cat, which is the unit there, which can be bought on Special Cats, as it is an absolutely no gacha alternative to Paris Cat. However, please be aware that it is nowhere near as good as Paris Cat. It will not be as powerful. If you have Paris Cat, use Paris Cat in that slot. If you don't, Mother Cat is completely accessible and can be used in its place. Then Dragon Cat. This one stands at a long range and does a single shot long range attack with plenty of damage. You should probably know that by now, but this unit can be interchanged for any sort of big, strong, ranged anti-alien that you might have. Then Bahamut. I'd recommend keeping this in the strategy and having your big kind of super rare or uber rare that's anti-alien in place of the dragon, because this will be very important for close range, high damage combat. I've deliberately used some lower levels on these units than you can get yourselves. My mother cat is level 20, but because we've hit 1600 user rank, you can get it all the way to level 30. My Paris cat, which I'll be using for some demonstrations, is level 15, plus 1, pretty much half of the way that you can get it to, all the way to level 30. For this level, I recommend bringing a rich cat and a sniper cat, but in case you don't have them, let's look at some techniques and where they vary for doing it without them. Sniper the cat doesn't change your technique very much, it just tends to help, so if you've got it, use it. But rich cat, without it, you're going to have to start the level a different way. So let's have a look at that way. What you really want to do with rich cat is push forward as soon as you possibly can. Without a rich cat, you don't have much ability to do that, so you'll just want to put out a cheap meat shield like your crazed cat and then 2 units, just your legs and your crazed whale. That will just start killing some of the peons and units there and allows you to get your worker cat up a little bit, but still allows you to save, which you definitely need to do because there'll soon be a clump of difficult stuff that can't just be dealt with by a few units. A good reason to have your macho legs out is to do damage to this Cellaboodle here. You might want to continue with a couple of crazed cats and macho legs because Cellaboodle does a lot of damage but has a very little amount of health. When that's dealt with and your worker cat has been suitably upgraded, it's time to put together all sorts of units, both your whales, your Paris if you can, and anything else that you can afford except for Bahamut cat, and if you stay strong and keep with your 4 meat shields, you should be able to get past this stage here. Beware that whale and Paris are very expensive. Prioritise the units other than them because they're going to give you most cost efficiency. If you can afford everything except Bahamut, put all of them out. But just remember to keep an eye on your finances. Cellaboodles also give you a load of money, but not when they're still alive. By the time you've killed that wave, you should be able to have max worker cat, and so things will from this point on be the same as if you had had the rich cat on. Next, you just want to put out a few units, same as you've been doing before, couple of meat shields, legs, couple of whales and that, and whenever a cyber horn and a Cellaboodle clump together, put out everything except Bahamut again, and just keep meat shielding with all 4 until that clump is gone. But perhaps as testament to how important Sniper the cat is, this run didn't end up going particularly well. And as you'll come to see, Sniper the cat plays a huge role in being able to beat this level. Rich cat definitely helps with that process as well. So, hoping that you have these items, let's go into the method of beating the level, assuming that you have both of them. What this rich cat will allow you to do is with more gusto put out units at the start, and that means a crazed cat immediately, then a macho legs immediately, and then your whales. You're not having to worry about the worker cat, so you can continually put out more of these units. Stay away from the more expensive ones, but you can keep these in a relatively constant spam and begin chipping damage against Galactic Overseer and Iandam. You'll be able to see that the sniper cat has a huge help in knocking back Galactic Overseer when he's about to attack sometimes. That is why it makes such a big difference and is definitely a useful item to keep on. Then when you get your first clump, you can start meat shielding with all 4 units a lot further away from your base than you probably could without a rich cat. That's just going to give you a lot more space and a lot more peace of mind. Just as with Ch.2 Moon, make sure to use the cat cannon to delay his attacks. They'll reset just the same as normal Nyandam. Monies shouldn't be an issue when you're doing this level, but if you ever do happen to struggle, just keep to the cheaper crazed whale and the macho leg cat and lay off the Parises or mother cats and any other expensive units that you might have brought with you. Just keep to the cheap stuff. Eventually, there will come a point where 2 cyberhorns appear at once. This is what you have your Bahamut cat in the lineup for. With this one, you want to keep all your 4 meat shields about, but then gradually start to bring in everything else that you have. It's great to have a gap between you and the Galactic Overseer so it doesn't kill everything you're using to try and defeat the cyberhorns, but ultimately, it's just about Bahamut out and protecting it as best you can. It is your tool for defeating these 2, and without it, it's going to be a real challenge. Now this is the point where you will probably struggle for monies. Again, when you are doing so, try and keep all the meat shields out. You'll need them, but just stick to macho legs, and if you can afford it, the crazed whale. If any better anti-alien unit you've brought with you, it's actually more cost efficient than crazed whale, for example it being Neo Psycho Cat, maybe put that out there instead of the crazed whale. And then once those 2 cyberhorns are gone, it's just spam everything when you got the money for it, and you will eventually win the level. And there we have it, the level has been beaten. But not beaten no gacha, because I've used Paris-cat. But the reason for that is that I want to stress to you again that you should use Paris-cat if you have it, and only use Mother-cat if you don't have Paris-cat. But in the interests of honesty, which is very important in YouTube videos and is drastically undervalued on YouTube unfortunately, here is me doing much the same thing, but with a truly no gacha loadout, as if I didn't have Paris-cat. Macho legs, crazed cat, crazed tank, macho legs, and crazed whale. And repeat. He's attacking. Throw a cat cannon at him and stop him. Right in his tracks. And now that they are all in one clump, use all your meat shields and all of your units except for Bahamut, because it will be very important later on, and don't waste it now. And soon, hopefully, if things have all gone alright, you should see them thin out and then you'll get to know Andam again. Make sure to cat cannon him if he's about to attack. When there's another Celeboodle and a Cyberhorn, again, spam everything except for Bahamut. It's still needed for later on when things get very hairy and scary. Pro tip, if you see he's about to attack, don't keep spamming what you've got, because they're only going to run into his death wave. Only put out a couple of things, just like maybe a crazed cat, and then when he's finished attacking, start spamming things again. That's going to be a lot more cost efficient. This is where you're going to need to use Bahamut when two Cyberhorns appear at once. Put out your Bahamut and desperately spam absolutely everything you've got except for your cat cannon, which again you'll need to use in the same way as before, such as stopping him there. They will end up chipping through your meat shields and getting very close. Unfortunately, that will just be the case, and you just have to hope that you'll eventually be able to chip away at them more than they've chipped away at you. Just keep on spamming, just like Dory said. Once that wave is done, you pretty much are too. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, you have succeeded in beating the Great Abyss no gacha. Or if you're sensible, you've used your gacha units to make it easier for yourself. Once you pass the Great Abyss, you're just going to want to keep going, keep trying to get treasure, and just keep on going until you get to the moon or the floating continent, which is probably the next big challenge. Some of these levels along the way are nonetheless still quite difficult, especially with the introduction of an alien variant of Teacher Bear called Ursa Major. We've probably seen it before, but it's certainly important to note that it is very difficult indeed. But if you have macho legs with you, and especially if you happen to have a gacha cat, for example Castaway Cat, they'll be very useful against it. And crazed whale, tanky units like that with a nice strong kind of punch attack, maybe dragon as well, are good against the Ursa Major. And then when you have clumps of fast units, loads of meat shields and a Bahamut cat with its nice area of effect is good for dealing with them. With those general rules of thumb, the other levels should be fine. Remember to use a treasure radar if you really hate a level and really don't want to be farming it for treasure, and push on with your Into the Future progress. If you're doing it as soon as you possibly can, it is going to be difficult. If you've done other stuff first, it's going to be less difficult, and also might be less difficult depending on what units you have. But the next place to try your very best to get to is Into the Future Chapter 2 Moon. The end of this sub-chapter is where I will see you next, at least story mode wise. But until then, that should be enough to be able to beat the Great Abyss, either no gacha or gacha if you have better alternatives. Don't be ashamed to use gacha. Gacha being a unit that comes from a rare-cat-capsule, so I can't guarantee that you'll have it. But if something has gone wrong or you just can't quite do it, let me know, ask me, and try and describe as best you can what is going wrong, and hopefully I can help you. If this hasn't been enough for you, hopefully some more tailored advice will be. And until the next beginner's guide, I will bid you goodbye and say, I hope you enjoyed.